Football season is back. What's going on, y'all? Happy Sunday. Another weekend, another week to be grateful, another opportunity. I hope everyone had a good week last week, despite the heat. If you were in New York or some of these other places, I know I was hot as hell. Okay, I don't know how I survived the heat. I had a bunch of my fans on. I can't really put AC in my room like that. So I had to kind of be a soldier a little bit and tough it out. But I survived it, and shout out to all of you who have similar story who can't really put an AC in their room but survived it. We built Ford tough. uh, like I said, I hope everyone had a good week, and I hope everyone has a good week coming up. Not a lot really went down last week, so I don't know if this will be a long episode today, but we'll see how it goes. Like I started with football is back, and that is definitely the case. I'm excited for football season. They got a lot of interesting, I don't say storylines, but after a season last year where, season last year where they were in a pandemic and they tried to play football and they did so successfully. I didn't think the season was gonna last, but talking to some of my big homies and they were right. I never doubted them. I thought it would spiral out of control or go left, but it didn't. But they were saying that the NFL was not going to not have the season finish. And they were right. I didn't think it was going to finish. No fault of their own. But it finished. And now that there's training camp and there's preseason, they got to go to training camp and have OTAs and all that other good stuff. I think this is going to be a really good NFL season. Preseason started, and I guess I could give you my, division winners. So real quick, I'll go AFC East. I think Buffalo wins that division. AFC North, I think Ravens win that division. AFC South, I think the Titans win that division. AFC West, the Chiefs win that division. Wild card team, I think Patriots get one spot. And I think I'm gonna say the Chargers get the other spot. I like what the Chargers are doing. NFC side, I got the Giants winning the NFC East. I got the Packers winning the North. Tampa wins the South. And I have the LA Rams winning the West. Wild card spots, I have Vikings and I have Seahawks winning the two wild card spots. Super Bowl prediction. I don't know yet. Maybe next week or before the season starts, I'll give you a prediction, but those are my division winners and wild card winners. That can change if significant injuries happen in preseason. I think the Patriots are going to be really good. I think Cam got an unfair shake Last year, I've been saying it even to Patriot fans who've been kind of panicking and saying, oh, Cam is washed and blah, 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 blah. Listen, guys, it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to get signed 2 weeks before the season. You're coming off an injury, and there are no offensive weapons whatsoever, especially at wide receiver. Your offensive line isn't the greatest. It's not terrible, but it isn't the greatest. Your defense wasn't the same as it was a year ago when Brady was there. No OTAs, no training camp outside of really virtual, and no preseason games. Cam Newton was not going to be consistent. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into environment a little later on. Listening to Atomic Habits, the audiobook, chapter 6. Environment is everything. Or it's like if you were to develop a pie chart, it's a significant piece to growth and development in any field, let alone in sport. So there was no real way Cam was expected to be consistent. Brady was who he was. The Patriots weren't 12-4 the year before because Brady is familiar with everybody on the team. Familiarity was the biggest variable. Cam don't have that. Well, Cam has it now, and I like what they did on offense. I like what they did on defense, and I think they're going to win the wild card. I told Ari, I told Justin, shout out to you guys who are Titan fans. I was saying before Julio went to Tennessee, I said if that's probably one of my Super Bowl picks. AFC, I got the Titans. I said if the Titans get Julio Jones, they're gonna go to the Super Bowl. I spoke that into existence for about a month. And I just had that feeling. Julio from Bama, Derrick Henry from Bama. Tennessee's not that far from Alabama. And I like Ryan Tannehill a lot. I don't think he got a fair shake in Miami. Miami don't know what they really doing. They're kind of inconsistent. They more kind of rely on talent to carry their team. But I like what they're doing now. But I like Tannehill ever since. And look at his numbers. Look at his numbers. Ever since he got to Tennessee, that man been a dog. That man been a dog. Ryan Tannehill been a dog. They just don't have a number one wide receiver. I think A.J. Brown is over there. He ain't a number one just yet. He a number two who can become a number one. But you give me Julio, who's going to see single coverage, or he may get double. That's going to let A.J. get off. And if you double Julio, that probably means you got one extra man out the line of scrimmage, which means Henry going dog. And that man carried for 2,000 yards, and they knew he was getting the ball. So that's a good offensive line. The defense is going to be improved. They're going to be able to be a more balanced football team. And I just think, man, Tennessee and maybe Buffalo, to me, the two only teams that can beat. I take that back. Ravens, too. Titans, but to me, Titans is number one because they can really control the clock. And to me, they're the most balanced of the teams in the AFC that can beat Kansas City. Tennessee, Ravens, Buffalo. Those are the three teams to me that give Kansas City the best fight and can beat them. But yeah, I think Tennessee is going to be really good. AFC, I like the Giants. I like their offseason acquisitions. Their defense was really solid last year, and they get an addition without really signing him. They get Saquon back. Galladay is really going to help. Tooney's going to help in the return game. That's going to be a big piece because Giants have... I can't remember the last time the Giants had decent return coverage. Maybe Dixon, whatever his name is, we had him a few years ago. That was the really last time you had like a real return threat. I know Odell returned some stuff, but Giants weren't really going to put him out there to return. So I think he's going to be a really good piece. I think Daniel Jones is going to be pretty solid. I don't think they're going to have him. They're not going to require him to take over the football game, but he has the ability. He just got to protect the football. That's his real concern, right? You got to protect the football. And I think you will. I know people saw the clip of him throwing the wild interception. Listen, guys. I'm not trying to be better than anyone or anything like that. But if I were to react to every still screenshot of something or every viral clip of a player going wrong, I wouldn't enjoy the sport. So Daniel Jones is going to be fine. I'd rather him do that in practice or training camp or even in preseason than in the real live game. So let's not overreact here. I think the Giants are going to be really good. I wanted to pick Minnesota to win the division, but Aaron Rodgers is too good, and I think, Aaron Rodgers is the difference. I want to say Tampa Bay gonna get back because they brought everybody back. Like, you can't get a better offseason than that, right? Bringing the whole team back, you filled every roster need. That's a rarity. So maybe it'll be Tennessee versus Tampa. Who knows? But those are my division winners and wildcard winners. As I said last week, I created the fantasy football league. I think Monday or Tuesday night. We're gonna play fantasy football again. The winner is a WWE Championship belt. I'll pick between 3, and then if you don't want that one, you get to pick, I guess, the belt you want. I'll give everyone the details soon. Got to pay to get in, but you don't have to pay right away. But there will be a deadline because everyone got to chip in for the belt. That's the entry fee. And women are allowed to join too. This is not a sexist, misogynist league. Like I've always said, I think it would be great and comedy if a woman were to beat all the machismo, I am man, hear me roar guys in the league, especially if she's one who doesn't watch football, or maybe she does watch football, but we talk so much trash and she ends up being all the toughest of fantasy football players and she smacks us. I think that would be great. So, everyone is allowed to join. I like to keep my league to 10 people, but I will definitely expand to 12 if I get people. I already have certain slots already saved and filled, so I'll see. When I get through the details this week, I'll see who I gotta send invites to and certain stuff. It's first come, first serve. And I just implore everyone, once you join the league, just join right away. That way, I have everyone in and I can make the proper adjustments. I can make the adjustments to time. I can change the date. I can do everything because everyone is in. That's very important. I don't want to have to chase nobody. I don't want to be nobody's parent. So do that favor for me once you join. Like I said, ain't nothing really go down this week. Maybe the news of Batman being bisexual was something. I mean, look, like I said, I have no problem with the LGBTQ community. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you are. I don't want to. It's a sensitive subject. It's a tough subject to talk about because it's so many things will get taken out of context. There's so many emotions involved. There are powers that be, and it's like you don't want to be afraid to speak on it, and you don't want to say the wrong thing. I will say I do see an agenda, and I do see the game that they're playing. And I know Boosie said, it's not going to be normal for kids to be straight anymore or heterosexual. And there is something to right message, wrong messenger. I don't think Boosie is the exact messenger we need on this, and a few other maybe celebrities or people. But there's something to it. You know what I mean? There's really something to it. And like he did say, they do start with the kids. And it's important to watch that because the kids are the impressionable ones, and it's the kids who's going to bring the something to the parents, right? So, for example, I don't know if anyone who is a parent who's watching this who knows if your kid watches other kids playing with toys or games on YouTube. There was this trend maybe a couple of years ago. Maybe it's still going on, where subliminally, this weird demonic thing would pop up on your kid's screen, right, during the video, and they trying to, I guess, F with their head. I thought it was just random until I'm walking to school. I'm walking Jade to school, and she told me that she saw it, and so it's a real thing. They get to the kids because the kids is going to be the one to bring it to the parent. And a lot of times it's going to be the mom. And that's the appeal. That's the in. It's psychological. Right? And so they do start with the kids. And there's just something about just like super sexualizing or just making sexuality a thing for a child who's 5, 6, 7 years old. It's like, relax, let the child be a child. You know what I mean? I said the same thing with the whole activist civil rights thing, Black Lives Matter, this whole racial thing. It's like, I don't want the kids involved in that. They deserve to be 5, 6, 7 years old. You know what I mean? Like, they deserve to grow up and be not necessarily naive, but they are naive and innocent by default. I mean, you're talking about children who just learned how to read and write their name. They learn the basics of math. They learn colors. They probably just learn how to dress themselves. They just finished becoming potty trained. They go into the bathroom by themselves consistently. They probably just learn how to tie their shoes, comb or brush their hair. You know what I mean? There's no need to force this grown-up stuff that even adults are struggling with and confused about onto 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. So who the bloody hell was asking or gave a damn about what sexuality Robin was? No one cared or asked for that. and for the powers that be to just put that out here, they know what they're doing, and I don't like it. I don't like it, and so you gotta be aware of that. It's not something to make a big deal about or anything like that, but keep an eye on it because it's real psychological warfare, and if you're gonna always dismiss it or be in your feelings about it or think emotionally, you're gonna miss the ballpark. You're gonna miss the picture, and that's what they want. They want things to go over your head while they doing this over here. They got this thing going on over here, and you didn't see the play. And I've said it on episodes past. If you've had a conversation with me, you know. Like I said, this works 24/7, 365 for good or for bad. It's always processing, it's always turning, and I thank God for that. But a lot of times it works against me because, like I said, I wish I could turn it off. But I say that to say, for better or for worse, things don't go over my head. They don't. So, a lot of times I'll see things and I'm like, I saw that. I saw what you're doing. I'm not going to say anything. I'll keep it shut. I'm very observant, but I saw that. And that's why a lot of times maybe I'll get frustrated in conversation with people because I'm like, how did you not see that? Right? There was a thing with me, let's say drum corps, where I know people used to say, people don't, everyone isn't going to learn things as fast as you are. I had a problem with that growing up where I learned things quick and I'm just stuck like, okay, now what? So, like I said, I say that to say that things don't go over my head. Better for worse, I saw it. And I just think that's an important part. We need those people, right? Because they guide, they have very strong influence, and I would like to use whatever influence or intellect that I have for good. I don't want to manipulate people, sell people a bill of goods. So things not going over my head, I'm always gonna bring it to the light. I'm gonna use my platform. I'm gonna use Instagram. I'm gonna use Facebook because, like I said, there's a lot of BS being put out there. I keep telling y'all about this QAnon joint. As I posted on Instagram. Can't remember the story. Something about 2 people dead, 2 children dead in Mexico or something like that. And the report, somebody wrote like, yo, this is a very dangerous group. Yes, they are very dangerous. Watch Q Into the Storm. I'm telling y'all. It starts off slow, but it's very informative. And it's important because a lot of misinformation is being spread out there. And it sounds really good. And a lot of it appeals to emotion, and it's done purposely. And if you don't watch out, you're going to get yourself caught up in things. You're going to keep hearing things, and it's going to be like, whoa. Arm yourself with information. Ignorance at this stage of the game is a choice. It is a choice. And I choose not to be willfully ignorant. I choose not to be. So, I encourage people to watch the doc, man. So at HBO Max. Start slow, but even if in it starting slow, it's very informative. But yeah, it's important that I use my platform. It's important that I try to tell people the truth as much as possible. Speaking of the truth, yeah, I know I'm going to talk about Jordan Peterson. Pat hit me up yesterday. Shout out to Big Bro Pat. Hit me up yesterday. We were just talking real quick, and I was telling him about, I guess, my refound love for psychology and passion for sport and psychology. There's a bridge between the two, and I'm determined to use it for good, right? But I was telling him, listen, I was searching for these type of things, I guess, my entire life. I'm a very observant, thoughtful, intellectual person. I guess I'm into that type of thing. I like to think, I like to process things out, and environment and circumstances have oftentimes made me, or I would say made me, but influenced poor decision making. And I gotta own that. But this is the type of thing that I was interested in, and I love, because I just, the reasons why people do what they do is always fascinating, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But it's it's important that, you know, the why is discussed, because that can change the approach to things. Because a lot of people see, oh, what I was saying was that I was looking for this type of thing my entire life. Like, and I guess the reason why I'm involved or so deep into it now is because I'm older, I'm probably more mature, and back then, maybe when I was a teenager or even early in my 20s, I wasn't mature enough or ready to handle what came with the psychology, and like I said, I probably wasn't mature enough to handle or to take on the responsibilities that these things are forcing me to take. So it's better late than never, and I'm just grateful for the now, or the space that I'm in now, with plenty room to grow. I've said it. Famous Harold song, "Kids Under Construction," right? I am under construction for sure, but I am grateful for the space that I'm in to learn more about myself and to learn more about the world around me. So, like I said, it's better late than never, and it's these things are important, because the why behind things can change approach. Because I think a lot of times we ask the wrong questions, and reading Jordan Peterson this week, that was something that he was saying. And it's something that I've also wondered or asked about myself. And he says something in chapter 5, or rule 5 of 12 Rules for Life. He says, imagine a toddler repeatedly striking his mother in the face. Why would he do such a thing? It's a stupid question. It's unacceptably naive. The answer is obvious: to dominate his mother, to see if he can get away with it. Violence, after all, is no mystery. It's peace that's the mystery. Violence is the default. It's easy. It's peace that is difficult. Learn, incalculated, earned. People often get basic psychological questions backwards. Why do people take drugs? Not a mystery. It's why don't they take them all the time? That's the mystery. Why do people suffer from anxiety? Not a mystery. How is it that people can never be calm? That's the mystery. We're breakable and mortal. A million things can go wrong in a million ways. We should be terrified out of our skulls at every second, but we're not. The same can be said for depression, laziness, and criminality. And that's very key, because asking the right question about something or the situation at hand can make all the bit of difference, especially when it comes to people. I've said it to myself. It's like the things that go on inside my head, or the things that I that frustrate me, or that annoy me, or that I have to to deal with. It's amazing that I am not home snorting a line of cocaine every minute, right? Because the mind is a powerful thing, and like you said, a million things can go wrong in a million different ways, especially new ways that we couldn't even imagine. And during my late 20s, I definitely experienced that, and there were periods in my life I could probably say maybe after turning 25 and after that, where just like, how the hell did this happen? I had no idea. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to deal with it. I said it here, I've said to people, I cried myself to sleep. I drank myself to sleep. And I very shocked or surprised that I was able to be a functioning human being during those times. Like I said, I'm surprised that outside of just alcohol and weed, I'm surprised I wasn't popping pills or snorting lines of cocaine, because it's like it's the easy thing to do, right? You want to numb the pain, you want to feel good, you don't want to have to. It's not the fact that you don't want to deal or you don't have a plan, it's just you want to feel good. And that's why I push back on like the emotion thing, because it's like doing what feels good oftentimes is the bad decision, or it's only short term. There's no end goal. It's just you felt good, you didn't solve the problem, but you felt good. Long term, you have to deal with it, and the feel good in the moment oftentimes puts off the long term decision. And we do it. I am not judging. I am guilty of it. I've done it myself, and it's something that needs to be explored and understood. At the same time, we as humans, we're gonna have to make hard decisions, and we have to do it. Right? It's not an option. Man and woman alike. It's not an option. And so, but I understand it, and so these type of questions need to be asked, and it's an understanding thing. It's you gotta tough it out thing, and it leads me to do we have do we feel that we have a responsibility to our community? My answer is yes. I believe we do, because we preach about it all the time. We Let's just take the black community, right? We understand the race, we understand the racial things, we understand the oppressive things, we understand the systemic things. But I think we as a black community, we ignore or we avoid the tough questions and tough conversations, because we either know the answer and don't want to say them out loud, or we know the answer and it would require change on our part as individuals, which will affect the community. And we'd rather the government or we'd rather other people do them than us taking on. We just want to have our hand out and be on the receiving end of some stuff. And we owe it to ourselves and the community. I was watching one of these videos on YouTube, and it was talking about the responsibility of a father. Black, white, don't matter. And the responsibility of the father is for not only to provide and protect, but he also has to be on the lookout, and he has to ensure that the community his family is in is safe, as well as serve the community that the children's school is in is safe. He has to be involved in not only his child life, but in his community's life as well. School, work, play, church. If you're a religious person, he has to be involved in things outside of just provide and protect. And that's community. And that is a very important component in a child's development, and it's something that is often overlooked. And part of the reason why I'm into psychology is because they have effects, and we know the effects, right? We grow up in them, and it's things that often gets overlooked when it comes to community and conversation, and we casually dismiss it, or we kind of compromise things for an end goal. And some of it is understood, but some of it you gotta stand firm, and you gotta you can't budge on certain decisions. Like, certain things are not negotiable, and I think the war on psychology and the war on our minds, it's not negotiable. You gotta stand firm in these things. And so we each as individuals have a responsibility to our community. We have a responsibility to ourselves, which leads to community responsibility. And all about rules and stuff like that, we have to be able to coexist together. And part of that is responsibility. You know what I mean? Jordan Peterson describes it well in terms of rules and playing games and stuff like that. And one of them was he was talking about like people behaving and cooperating in the group. He talked about raising children, right? And I think he uses children as examples a lot because it's easily understood. If a child can do it, the adult who's more competent, who's more advanced, whose brain has developed, body has developed, should be able to understand it too. If you're teaching a child how to play, the name of the game, the game that you want your child to understand, or the game that is the most important, is the game is to always be invited to play. Maybe I've said it, maybe I haven't, but I'll stress it again in terms of community responsibility. The name of the game is always to be invited to play. That's the game. That is the game. Wherever you go, you always want to be invited. That's the game. To always receive an invite. Because that means that you can handle yourself, you can conduct yourself in a proper manner, you're responsible, you are considerate, you are self-aware, you are aware of your surroundings, and you know how to cooperate in a setting of more than one person. That's the game. And you want to teach your kid how to cooperate and how to play and how to navigate in the game so that your child is always invited. Because ain't nothing worse than a child who's a pain in the ass, who's a bully, or who doesn't know how to share, or who doesn't know how to play a game. Ain't nothing worse than that. You'd want to remove your child from that environment. So as an adult, the same applies. You always want to be invited. You always want to be invited to go out for drinks. You always want to be invited to go out and play cards. You always want to be invited to go out and play ball. You want to go. You want to be invited to ladies' night out. You want to be invited to guys' night out. You always want that invite, not because you're trying to be liked, but it's a signal that no matter where you are in a group setting, you can be counted upon to be responsible and self-aware of your environment around you. That's the game, and that is important in community because that leads to people looking out for each other in community when things are left, holding people accountable, the higher ups, and it leads to a better society. mentioned it a few episodes ago about Japan. We was having a conversation with my boy and his family. And you want to be in that type of environment. You want to be in that type of community where I can put my phone down, I can put my wallet down, I can put anything down in this particular area. Talking about the example he was giving was about the beach. And he can put his phone down, his wallet down, and I can come back and it's there. No one took anything from the wallet. He didn't try to steal my credit card. He didn't try to steal my phone. He didn't try to steal my keys. Right? I think he was mentioning something about how the kids in school who are in school, I think kindergarten or first grade, I'll just say kindergarten, maybe I'm off with the grade. But the kindergartens or the elementary school kids, the parents send them off and send them to school by themselves, and they don't have to worry about someone snatching them up. It's 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. They're going to school. They're walking the street by themselves, and the people in the community do not have to concern themselves with someone coming in and snatching up the child. I think he was saying that they have a specific book bag that lights up and makes them aware that these kids are in this specific grade, and when they advance to the next level of schooling, I guess it's like the training wheels coming off. They get to get rid of that specific bag, and they upgrade to the next bag, and they go about their business. That is the type of community and environment we should all strive to be in. Plain and simple. And that all comes down to community responsibility. You have to make a conscious decision and effort to ensure that. You ain't gonna get that if you don't put the effort in. It didn't just happen overnight. And if it can happen in Japan, it can happen here in our little communities too. And that is the responsibility that everyone has to have. Everyone looking out for each other, everyone caring for each other, and that's the type of thing that you want. Like I said, I was reading or listening to Atomic Habits, and chapter 6 talked about the power of environment and choices, and that's something I've been struggling with. It's part of my daily struggle, especially for those of us who were really in the pandemic, where we kind of saw the same environment every day. It can lend itself to making poor decisions, because it's like, these are the only options that I have around me. I know exactly how that feels, right? Where you see the same store every day, you always see the same walls in your room every day, you see the same people every day, and little things can bother you, and it's like you have to do everything in this one particular area of your house, or one particular area of your room, or one particular area of your block or your street, or whatever the case may be. And it makes all the difference having a different set of circumstances or surroundings around you. It can make all the difference in the world, and it's something that I am trying to change in my own life, because I'm in desperate need of a change of scenery. I am in desperate need and change of environment, and I'm busting my ass trying to do everything that I can to make sure that once I leave here, I leave on good terms, or as good a terms as possible, and that I can leave on a good note, and that wherever I go, it's solid and it's stable. I am not afraid of meeting new people. I'm not afraid of change and things of that nature. And so I think it would be very good for me, and I'm pretty sure many of you feel the same way. And I hope we all get there. Power of environment is very important, and the psychological effects of a good environment and a bad environment is key. And maybe when we were younger, we didn't appreciate it, but it's important that we don't bring in the same ignorances, we don't bring in the same toxic habits. I hate that word, but we don't bring in the same poor habits and the same poor philosophies and the same hand-me-down things that we know are not going to work. It's important that we don't bring them in to our life as we get older, because like I said, we're the new adults, we're having kids, we are the ones making changes and the imprints in the world. We're the doctors, we're the lawyers, we're the entrepreneurs, we're the CEOs, we're the parents, we're raising kids, and you want to ensure the best possible outcomes in all possible scenarios. Nothing is absolute, so there's going to be a wrench thrown into the game. There's going to be something you didn't see in the scouting report, but it is very important that we all, including myself, we all make conscious efforts to ensure that we take responsibility in ourselves to ensure that our community environment, big and small, is conducive for our kids, conducive for us, so that when things go left, more often than not, we can nip it in the bud and we can make proper decisions and take the proper course of action. Because that's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what this whole thing is about. You know? And so asking the right questions is important. Getting the right information is important. And, you know, these things are important, man. And I'm always going to try to strive to stress these things. Because, you know, as you know, with this vaccine talk, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I've said it before, and I'm probably ending soon, you know. Again, for all those who are suspicious or doubtful of the vaccine, there's a reason why you don't have polio. There's a reason why chickenpox is just not this widespread thing. There's a reason why scarlet fever, whooping cough, you don't have hepatitis, you don't have rabies all over the place, or there's a shot if you get it. It's because of vaccines and shots. They're not a new concept. You could not go to school without your shots being updated or up to date. You could not. And about community and responsibility, it's not about your body, your choice. Like, enough of this lazy analytical bullcrap. No one is debating that it's not your body and it's not your choice. You have a responsibility to everyone around you, including yourself and your family, to make sure you are as healthy as possible, because you are going to be among people, including your children. And you cannot depend on herd immunity to save you. You have to take care of yourself. Yes, there is going to be people who catch it in spite of the vaccine they have. That happens. It happens. And again, because it's not a cure, so you're not curing the coronavirus. But you should encourage and implore people to get the vaccine instead of not wanting to take a stand, instead of having this everyone mind their business and everyone keep to themselves attitude and say, well, it's not my business, I'm not going to. And you should encourage people to get the shot. There's nothing wrong in saying that. You're not stepping on anyone's toes. You're not doing any of that. We have to get out of this internet mindset. It's very poisonous and it's very bad. You're not in anyone's business encouraging people to get the shot. You're not minding anyone's business. You're doing your due diligence. You're doing your proper service as a human being. They encourage everyone around you to be safe and ensure safety and health as much as possible. You have a responsibility. We all do. So I encourage everyone to get the shot and to spread the proper information. Again, this platform that I'm trying to create and expand on, hopefully soon and in the near future, it is important that proper information and representation is there, because there's a lot of false information being put out there, and it sounds good, and it's coming from people who we admire and respect. And if we don't watch it, we're going to end up making decisions that affect us as individuals, that affect the community on a small scale, which tends to always happen on a large scale, because now you have little communities and all these different sections and sectors being affected by it. It's very important. So I encourage everyone to get the shot. I encourage everyone to research and to get cited credible sources, and to just be smart. Right? There's always going to be conflicting reports. Do what's best for you, but be responsible. Do not be afraid to be firm and stand firm in your decision and in your stance and belief. But be sure that you have proof and at least bare minimum credible evidence to back and stake your claim. You don't just want to be freestyling and going off the top of the dome. You want to have credible information that when you speak, you can say, okay, that's why if you read my Instagram, you read my Facebook, I guess in Messenger, the Facebook story, I post pages of the book. I post the YouTube clips so that you can read, you can watch yourself. I'm not saying anything. It's not. This guy is amazing. He's a genius. He says some of the same things that I be saying. It's like, it's not me. It's not my personal set of beliefs, right? The research has been done. The data has been proven. People who are smarter than me have done the research, have tested it out, and these things are playing out in front of you. And you have to be not just a willing participant, but you have to be open to maybe what I thought years ago is not the same as it is today. I'm learning that, and it's human responsibility that we do it too. And so I'm always going to post pages of the book, so one can read it, to show, hey, I'm not making any of this up. This man is a clinical psychologist and was a professor, right? So he knows how to deal with adults, he knows how to deal with people, and he knows human personality. So you're not going to really argue with him or really challenge him, the mom or dad or the single mom or the single person on Facebook or the everyday common man or woman. You're not going to argue with him. You can't. You can't. He knows more than you. There's nothing you can say that he hasn't heard or hasn't seen. He can spot your behavior. He knows your tendencies. He's heard this. He said this. And there are other women psychologists too who I watch, and they're the same. Again, I don't give a damn, white, black. He has not given me the indication that he's racist, a bigot, or oppressive person. And so I'm a respect and trust homie until he shows me otherwise. But yeah, it's just very important. So I'm always going to share the information out. And yeah, man, these things are important. I don't know what the week is. I don't know what the week has for me, for any of you guys, but I hope you have a good week. Hopefully it's not going to be as hot as it was last week. Again, much love to everyone going through something. If you're having a hard time and you got my math, you got my Instagram, you got my Facebook, don't be afraid to reach out. I got love for everyone. I got no beef for nobody. If I've wronged you, I'm sorry. I was stupid. I'm an idiot. I'll put my foot in my mouth sometimes, so I'm sorry. I'm a work in progress just like everyone else. I hope everyone has a good week, or at least the week they're supposed to have. I hope we all do one thing brave this week. I hope we break down the fear that we had. I hope we challenge ourselves this week. Um, don't be blindly naive. Um, and just, be kind to someone. I think that's very cliche, but it's the most simple thing we can do. Be kind to someone. Like you say, you don't know what people are going through, and a smile, a hug, or how you doing can make all the difference. Don't be prideful. It's alright to learn new things. It's alright to change. It's alright to change your mind, but don't be so wishy-washy or so fickle in your stances. There's a fine line between that, right? You can't just be change your mind at a whim. There has to be some type of consistency, right? But you guys get what I'm saying. But I hope everyone has a good week. Got love for you guys, and I will see you next week. And one more thing, I got this book. If Shoe Dog, I'm on a book binge. I got some more books that I gotta read, but I'm trying to learn some stuff about being creative and you know, I guess how to make some money and just learning new things. So that's my new book. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna get into this after I guess I maybe whichever one I finish first, either Atomic Habits or 12 Rules for Life. I want to get Psychology of Money. I seen someone cop The Alchemist. I maybe get into some fiction a little bit. And I got some books in my Amazon cart that I'm gonna get. I don't wanna be on a book binge, but you get what I'm saying. I hope everyone has a good week. I think I've said that a lot, but I do. I hope everyone has a good week. I got love for everyone, and I'll see y'all next week, man.